Hello there, a very good evening and welcome to your Primetime News Bulletin. I'm Shane Silva.
And I'm Minoshi Ratnasekara. Let's start off with a look at your headlines first.
Headlines on News First at 9.
2014 Appropriation Bill tabled in Parliament. 253 billion rupees allocated for the Ministry of Defence and Urban Development. Production halted following poisonous gas leak at a factory in Piliyandala. 22 victims still in hospital. 2013 Chogam rally makes its way from Balangoda to Bandaravela. A blatant lie uncovered. Central Province Education Secretary under the spotlight. Allegations level that there have been no disciplinary inquiries against persons, including Mangala, for attacking UN peers in Mathura.
එලවා පහර දුන්න මේ මංගල සමරවීර ඇතුළු ඒ නඩයේ ක්‍රියාමාර්ග පිළිබඳව තවමත් කොමිසමක් පත් කළා කිසිදු දෙයක් හොයලා බලලා නැහැ.
News First at 9.
And on to your local stories in detail. Marking the beginning of the 2014 budget process, the Appropriations Bill for 2014 was tabled in Parliament today.
As per the Appropriations Bill, estimated government expenditure for 2014 is 1,542.25 billion rupees.
The Appropriations Bill, known as the first reading of the budget, through which the government's expenditure estimate and borrowing limit are granted approval by Parliament, was presented in Parliament today. Through the 2014 Appropriations Bill, the highest expenditure head of 253 billion rupees will be for the Ministry of Defence and Urban Development. While 144 billion rupees has been allocated for the Ministry of Ports and Highways, this marks an increase of 10% year-on-year. A sum of 106 billion rupees has been allocated for the Ministry of Economic Development through the bill. Estimated expenditure for the health sector in 2014 is 118 billion rupees. A sum of 76 billion rupees has been allocated for the three education ministries, namely the Ministries of Education, Higher Education and Education Services. The Appropriations Bill also proposes a borrowing limit of 1,100 billion rupees for 2014 to cover government expenditure. On the 21st of November, the reading of the 2014 budget, known as the second reading in Parliament, will be delivered by the Minister of Finance, outlining estimated expenditure, tax proposals for revenue and proposals for covering the budget deficit.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that several major development projects will be undertaken next year, in addition to the development projects that are currently underway. The President made this statement at a discussion held with parliamentarians this evening, parallel to a series of meetings to obtain proposals with regard to the preparation of the 2014 budget. Extensive discussions were held on programs to be introduced for the roads, electricity, tourism, rural irrigation industry, health industry and education sectors. The Presidential Media Unit says that proposals were also put forward regarding the future implementation of urban development projects in Colombo and Greater Colombo.
Urban development projects in Colombo, Greater Colombo.
And operations at a factory located in the Batakathar area in Piliyandala was suspended by the Central Environment Authority after a toxic gas leak occurred at the factory this morning.
Chairman of the authority, Vimal Rubasinghe, explained about the actions taken in this regard.
The first step was to suspend all operations at the company. The second step is to take necessary measures to prevent toxic gas from being released from the factory. We must state that the general public has nothing to fear. We state with responsibility that we will continue investigations into the factory.
30 persons who were affected by the gas leak at the factory in Piliyandala continue to receive treatment at the Colombo South Teaching Hospital for respiratory difficulties. Another 4 persons are receiving treatment at the Piliyandala District Hospital.
The gas leak was reported at around 2:45 this morning from a chemical company manufacturing detergents in the Batakathara area in Piliyandala. Those residing in the vicinity of the company were affected with respiratory problems due to the toxic gas leak. 72 persons, including children, were hospitalized at the Piliyandala District Hospital and the Colombo South Teaching Hospital.
I suddenly woke up and found it difficult to breathe.
We had difficulties in breathing.
We heard people shouting, saying they cannot stay indoors. We thought thieves had broken into a house. But then we saw smoke and we were later told to go to the temple. We had to open the back door and jump over the wall. It is difficult to breathe. There was smoke inside the house while we were sleeping. We came here in a three-wheeler at around 2:30 a.m.
Doctors say that all those who were admitted to hospital following the gas leak suffered from respiratory problems.
Many who came complained of breathing difficulties, coughing and chest pain. A large number of people arrived here. We immediately called the police and managed to send most of the patients in an ambulance to Colombo South Teaching Hospital. You could smell the stench of gas near many of the patients.
Many of those who arrived here had breathing difficulties. However, after treatment, they returned to normal. Incidentally, people residing in the vicinity of the factory charged that they have informed the relevant authorities on numerous occasions about the dangers of the factory.
This area is surrounded by factories and we were against it from the beginning. But they managed to cover up everything through links with high-ranking officials. They never listen to a word the people have to say. These factories are a nuisance. We have even gone to the police regarding this matter, and we have written to the Central Environmental Authority.
We told everyone, we told the monks, the police, the PHIs, but nothing happens. This is a nuisance to the people who live here. Area residents also brought their concerns to the attention of Western Provincial Councillor Sunil Jayamina, who arrived at the scene. It has been 18 years since this company was established. Repeated requests were made during these 18 years. I don't know whether solutions have been provided. Where is the OIC? Has the case been swept under the carpet? Ask the OIC. We didn't know anything until we came here. Do we have any links with this company? Have we visited this company? No. However, the chairman of the Casbah Urban Council, who also arrived at the scene, said that no complaints were made regarding the factory during his tenure. Investigations will be conducted into this incident and action will be taken. However, during my tenure, no complaints were made to the Urban Council. The factory administration confirmed the toxic gas leak that occurred in the factory. This was footage taken by newsfirst cameras that visited the factory today. Our company manufactures detergents. There was a leak in a barrel of ammonia which caused the smoke. There was thick smoke and therefore the security and the safety team at the factory could not contain it. The toxic gas leak not only affected area residents but also affected the flora and fauna in the area. In this backdrop, area residents request that attention be focused on whether factories in the area are operating according to proper standards. Previously, chemicals from the company were released into a drain. Those responsible should look into this and provide a solution. If not, people in the area will become ill and the situation may turn fatal.
Harm caused through the dumping of waste in water sources on the rise. Mass death of fish in the waterway from Surigama Kadawatha to the Kalani River as a result of chemical waste being dumped in the waterway. Chlorine leak at the water purification plant in Avisavela leads to the hospitalization of several people, including children. Allegations from villagers that water sources were contaminated by a factory, highlighting the urgency of taking measures to prevent crises and accidents. That was Wildlife Reserve Warden KB Dhanayaka describing a harrowing experience that he underwent over the weekend.
Yes, Shane, the experience and encounter with a wild tusker in Vatupula Dumala Surya was captured on camera.
Macam ni mari. Anda. Dasar dah jauh tidak ada. Dasar dah jauh tidak ada. Yang tu mau usahakan macam. Oh, dasar dah jauh tidak ada. Dasar usahakan. Wildlife Reserve Warden KB Dahanayaka, who was injured in the attack by the tusker, was immediately taken to hospital. Following treatment, he has been discharged and is now at home. The tusker turned on me all of a sudden and began chasing me. I ran about 30 meters as fast as I could, but he got closer and I was sure that he would catch me. There was a coconut tree up ahead and I jumped across from there. But the tusker too jumped, and as I was jumping, I was dealt a blow. I fell on my face. I turned on my back quickly and saw that the tusker was preparing to stab me with his tusks. As the tusk got closer to my chest, I grabbed hold of it and turned away. The tusk cut my stomach area and was buried in the ground. I was stuck and the elephant continued to attack me. When he lifted the tusk off the ground, it was still stuck inside me. Then I fell at its feet and as it prepared to attack me again, I shouted that the animal was trying to kill me. He tried to stab me again, and as I caught hold of the tusk, I could hear gunfire. The elephant raised its head and was distracted by the sound of gunfire. I took that opportunity to flee. Wildlife officers who succeeded in capturing this wild tusker, who has caused damage to property in the Dumalasuri area, relocated the beast to a secure area.
You're watching News First. Up next is Action TV.
An event that was held at the MS Junior School in Udapussalawa, which comes under the purview of the Walapane Education Division, can be identified as an event that uncovered an act of fraud committed by the Central Province Education Secretary to the Sri Lanka Human Rights Commission. When the position of Divisional Education Director of Walapane became vacant about a year ago, there were numerous qualified individuals attached to the Zonal Education Office who could have been given the position. However, the position, which should go to an official of the Sri Lanka Education Administrative Service, was instead granted to a Class 2 Grade 2 official of the Sri Lanka Principal Service who had been transferred from Hanguran Keta. A responsible official of the Central Province Ministry of Education made a written affirmation to the Sri Lanka Human Rights Commission that qualified persons were disregarded and an unqualified person was appointed based on the whim of a provincial councillor from the Ceylon Workers' Congress who held the Estate School's ministerial portfolio at the time. The premise for providing this written affirmation was a complaint lodged with the SLHRC challenging the appointment of an unqualified person to this position. The SLHRC regarded the facts contained in this complaint seriously and informed the Central Province Education Secretary to make clarifications regarding this complaint. This report shows that the Provincial Education Secretary did not attempt to justify the appointment of an unqualified person and in fact agreed to correct the mistake. This report was issued by the SLHRC on the 30th of September, noting that the complaint need not be examined any further. The SLHRC notes in this report that it has been revealed to them that the unqualified person in question has been removed from the position of Divisional Education Director of Walapane and has been appointed to the position of Principal at another school by the Central Province Education Secretary. However, the event that was held at the MS Junior School today is evidence that this report by the SLHRC, which claims that the complaint need not be examined any further, is simply a worthless piece of paper. As per the program for the event, the chief guest, who has been listed as the Divisional Education Director of Walapane, is the same unqualified individual who was appointed on political influence. Is it not lying itself that rules supreme through the act of lying and the act of reaching conclusions by being entrapped in lies?